long-term service with Oracle and head up the Center of Excellence within the HCM product development team. And as we move to the cloud, and I like that phrase, born in the cloud, when we started with what were the Fusion products originally, in the Fusion product line, I was responsible for the architecture and development, and as we moved into the cloud, the engagement with customers and the development of the service delivery model for the HCM cloud. And today, I'm part of product development still, but we have this Center of Excellence function, which is really geared towards experience, leveraging experience, supporting our customers, supporting our partners in what we believe is best practice for not only on the journey to the cloud, but very much for living in the cloud. And I think as we get into continuous delivery, that's really where we're spending a lot of time now with what does it take to be successful living in the cloud. So that's very much what it is.
And HCM was early out of the gate for Oracle in terms of the kind of first full suite of products. So you guys have been working on this long. The product has matured. It's improved incredibly. What are some of the changes that you've seen, since the release of HCM Cloud and the reaching of the current maturity stage? What are some of the changes and improvements that have been going on in HCM?
Well, I think as you look at the maturity of the products, what you're seeing is that the continuous development that's taken place over the years, we were very much moving from a very early stage delivery, where completely new product line, completely new architecture delivered in a cloud model, developing the service. And 7-8 years ago, when we started, everything was brand new. Over those years, there's been a lot of maturity in what I would call the core products and the core services, so that we're mature products with our core modules, HR, payroll, benefits. Talent products have been out for a long time now, and we've seen that year on year improvement, not only in the functionality that's there, but in a real understanding of what it takes to live with those products in the cloud. And as we continue to deliver innovations there, we're seeing the bulk of capability is established, and improvements in those areas tend to be incremental improvements. Whereas I think what we're seeing now is we're seeing new modules and new capabilities coming on board, and really the capabilities there for innovation are really opening up into how do you create the space within an operational model for customers to really take advantage of the innovation that's getting delivered. I think we're going to talk a little bit about that with the challenges of continuous delivery, and I think continuity is very much at a lot of people's, at the front of a lot of people's thinking. As this change comes at me, and you introduced it as you were talking about it, the challenges of staying on top of change. And I think that continuous delivery, it's important to really get a baseline on this. But I think that when we talk about continuous delivery, what we're talking about is delivering new features on a predictable timeline and schedule, so that as a customer or consumer of the service, you know what's going to be delivered and when, and that you're able to prepare in advance for that. In addition to new features, there's a second set of things, which are really delivery of fixes and improvements on a predictable timeline and schedule. And so when we talk about our quarterly updates, we're talking about significant new capabilities, for example, recruiting or help desk or the newsfeed user experience that are coming through on the HCM cloud. And then the monthly updates where we deliver fixes and improvements for functionality that's already been there. And over the years, we've been stabilizing on those approaches and really getting into the groove of continuous delivery. Right. And what we're looking at now is how do we help customers keep up with change and really understand what their responsibilities are for staying up with continuity. So yes, these changes are coming. How do you keep moving forward? And how do you look at what's new and really plan for adoption?
Right.
But I think what I see in it, and a point I'd make from customer roles and responsibilities, I think there are two key roles in here. One is the one that's fundamentally about continuity. Business is up and running, I've gone live, I've got my operations working. How do I keep them running as these changes are applied to my system? And we talk a lot about regression testing or keeping up with the information that's delivered and really planning to keep continuity going. That's one function or responsibility that needs to be looked at, maintaining continuity. And I think that there's a separate function in there that's about innovation and planning for adopting new capabilities. What we see a lot of customers deal with is sometimes those get mixed up. And you think, well, if there's a change there, I've got to consume it. One of the most important things is really to establish, no, just because there's a new feature there, it doesn't mean you have to consume it immediately. What you have to do is to plan for it and be prepared, and having good advice to really help you identify what's really changed and what do I really need to focus on right now in order to maintain continuity. That's one function. And how do I look at new functionality and plan for it in the future it's different. And it's really just helping people understand that you, in the continuous model, your primary focus is on continuity in order to be able to keep the business running and not to get out of step with the changes that are coming.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And then the choices of not having to choose every feature, that's the options that you have of installing a patch or not installing a patch. And therefore it's really important what the features the patches bring, right? So I know, for example, Soneratech, being able to have access to the applications and stuff, or any other type of partner who's helping you, understanding what the features of the new patches and whether you want them or not is where the decision making comes in, right? And then having a partner to help you through that process is really important.
Absolutely. And I think that what we're seeing throughout and what we recommend from the Center of Excellence is it's best practice to look at the information that's there. We publish the information about changes ahead of time. In many cases, those changes are being driven by customers. I think we're currently estimating somewhere between 80 and 90% of the changes we deliver now are being driven by our customers. And so the information is out there, and staying ahead of it is something everybody needs to step up to. But in many cases, it's more efficient to work with a partner to say, help us, advise us, guide us, than it is to do it yourself. I think this is one of the things we're looking at with Soneratech and with customers, is really to say, what's the best way for you to keep up with this and the most efficient way to manage these activities and look at the opportunity space.
Right. So good. So we have a couple of questions, before we move on. So let me kind of ask them. Some of them I'm not fully clear on, so we might have to get some clarity. So one question is, can you test personalizations like hidden components, added text on page, help text? What about integrations with HCM extract?
Okay, so you can test everything that you do. So if you've done it effectively, if you've deployed a personalization and it's on the system, then you can test it. Mm-hmm. So whatever a user does in the system, whatever you've configured to work in the system, whether it's configuration in data, so I have to find a type of element or a process rule, or I have to find a personalization to show or hide, then my tests can be designed for that. And then the mechanism for it I leave it to you guys to talk about the how, but definitely you can do that.